I'm here today to talk to you about Solasta II, a game that might not just fill the void until we get Baldur's Gate 4, but might actually even replace it. An upcoming CRPG that will be releasing in early access in early 2026. We already know a Baldur's Gate 4 is planned. Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have told us as much, and under normal circumstances that would be incredibly exciting news. After all, Baldur's Gate 3 was a generational game. There's just one huge freaking problem with that. Larian isn't freaking making it. They're off instead making Divinity and scarring people with their trailers. So that actually leaves Baldur's Gate 4 in the hands of, we don't know. We don't know whose hands it's in yet. We do know that they're going to be making a Baldur's Gate 4 sometime. We don't know when. I guess there's a lot of questions around Baldur's Gate 4. But the more negatives I heap on Baldur's Gate 4, the more likely you're going to think for this video, an old paper bag with a rotten banana in it is going to be a better option. So while we await the fate of the Sword Coast, there is another fantasy CRPG in the making that we'll be getting our hands on soon with some very familiar voices that has my full attention, and I want to bring it to yours as well if you don't already know it. And we've just got some really big announcements that are maybe even bigger than you think. I mean, for fuck's sake, they're putting this guy in it.
Let's go! I'm Ben Starr, professional actor, professional idiot, and self-certified.
Let's keep rolling, that's great though.
What should I play next? The volume's going up now. I'm going to be much, much louder. Come to me, Fantasian! That's how loud that line is. Combat! Drama. Adventure. Strategizing in battle.
Hey, come on. Hey, look. I know we failed before, but look, you doofus. Don't you recognize her?
Of course I do.
Then you know what that means. This is our shot. It might be our only shot.
This is your only shot. Out of the question. I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
And this incredible lady.
This weekend's biggest and best sale. We're going to be looking at animals in the wild.
That large, fleshy nose of yours looks like a mistake. Your kind proves compliant. Best to keep quiet, lest any drivel leak from your lips.
Mark my words, this power would be no blessing, but a curse. You might as well ask me to gouge out my eyes for the promise of sight, or slice off my tongue for the promise of taste. Consume all the gate tadpoles you wish. I'm not so craven. Perhaps you... No, that's absurd. When the tadpole has stretched to every pore and slithered through every vein, what am I to do then? It won't hear my screams. It won't care if I beg. I will be remade in its image. My own might will sustain me. I have no need of this depraved power.
These are two of my favorite actors who have contributed to some of my favorite roles in recent incredible games, notably Lae'zel and Clea for Devora Wild in Baldur's Gate 3 and Expedition 33, Ben Starr as Clive in Final Fantasy 16, and Verso in Expedition 33, and I'd say an underrated role in an under-the-radar psychological horror game that he did with Neil Newbin called Dead Take that scared the shit out of me. Not literally. I didn't poop myself. That's a weird thing to protest. I didn't. Just move on. Just got this key from a bloody thing. I'm sure there's nothing behind this door that'll be scary. Oh, it's just a room. There's a baby in there. The reason why this is so notable though isn't just that these actors are good at their craft, or that there are more actors like this who were announced who we'll get to in a moment, but because this is directly attacking the biggest issue that the first Solasta had, acting performance, which is a really good sign that this game is going to be much improved from the first game. However, I do want to point out that Solasta II will not be the same quality as Baldur's Gate 3, and we really shouldn't be expecting it. It won't be the same scope or have as many options or even play the same way. It's made by a dramatically smaller team with about 30 some odd team members compared to over 300 that made Baldur's Gate 3. And it's the team's second game compared to the 8th for Larian. Their funding is also much smaller, even with the publishing help of Kepler, who also published Expedition 33. But it is also a turn-based, companion-heavy tactical CRPG in a narrative-driven fantasy world that has taken a lot of what it did well in the first iteration, specifically its deep Dungeons & Dragons-rooted tactical turn-based combat, and looked at what it did poorly and seemingly tried to sew that up. Notably, its poor voice acting, cinematics, and storytelling. It's not to say that there weren't fans of those parts of Solasta, there were, but I don't think you'd find many that would say that those were the game's hallmarks. But with the playable demo for Solasta II earlier this year and the recent casting announcements and story trailer from the Game Awards, it's never been more clear that Solasta II is aiming to capture some of the magic that made Baldur's Gate 3 so wonderful. It wasn't just gameplay of Baldur's Gate 3 that made it special to me, or even the wealth of choices and consequences. It was the emotional and powerful performances from its cast that did a lot of heavy lifting. Without the heartbreak of Samantha Bayart and Neil Newbin, or the cutting wit of Tim Downey and Devorah Wild, the game is far less. And now it looks like Solasta II is bringing forth its own incredible ensemble cast, and also flexing muscle in cinematics so far through trailers and what is shown in the demo that we got. It's demonstrating much more focus and much more polish in these areas. It's showing a more purposeful approach to storytelling through cinema and gaming. This is looking like a much more well-rounded game than the first Solasta did. One that I think will have a more broader appeal.
My dear children, I write this letter to you as testimony of my undying love. Deorcus, my beloved, you will honor our goddess more than I ever could. Ricard, my cherished, find your father's steel and face the challenges ahead.
What happened?
She knew Marike was coming for her.
Never forget, the bonds that tie the six of you will be your strength.
Lies. You should have saved her.
She deserves the peace of death.
What an interesting family you must have.
Is that fear I sense? Good.
Stay in the light. Never give into darkness. Your loving mother, Marhin.
These are award-winning and award-nominated voice actors and performance actors on this cast that have been announced so far that have lent their talents to some of your favorite games over the years, from Hades, Baldur's Gate 3 to Expedition 33 and Final Fantasy 16. Amelia Tyler, Devorah Wild, Ben Starr, and Ellen Thomas have already been announced. That first name you should recognize as the authoritative voice of your playthrough for Baldur's Gate 3. And from what was reported in this write-up from Polygon, it sounds like they're going to be key parts of your journey. Amelia Tyler as Shadwin, the seeming antagonist so far. Ellen Thomas has been tapped to play the charismatic but ruthless elven leader Anabasia. Ben Starr and Devora Wild will be playing one of 2 biological children of Mahin Colwell, while you will be bringing forth the party of 4 adopted children, the found family of the Colwells, all of which are going to be fully customizable. So if you were one of those people that sat for hours in character creation just trying to make your tab the most beautiful ever or the most hideous ever, well, you are now well and truly fucked. Because now you have to do it 4 times. Congratulations. Tactical Adventures has said the game is a story of family, one with a real emotional core that has 4 adopted siblings with their own struggles alongside the biological children of their late mother. Now, one thing I want to point out here is just given how this is kind of structured, I don't foresee any kind of romance in this. Just like the way the story is, I don't see any kind of romance like being possible in the game. I mean, the found family, all of this thing, it doesn't seem possible. So just keep that in mind. Baldur's Gate 3 was very romance-centric. I don't expect Solasta II to be romance-centric. It might get a little Alabama if we end up that way. I can't really express how excited I am to see just how much care from the ground up Tactical Adventures is showing to the storytelling this time around. It's not just the hints at the story they're giving or the time they're showing the story, or the obvious care they're putting by moving it to a brand new continent to allow for new people who've never played the first game to come into it fresh while still giving plenty of nods to people who played and enjoyed the first games. Or the fact that they went out and grabbed notable names in the industry and even seemingly used their advice to shape the characters, as they mentioned Ben Starr helping craft Ricard Caldwell's personality. Solasta II is an adventure I can't wait to jump into, and luckily we'll be able to do so soon, as long as you're okay with early access, which I know some of us are and some of us aren't. Early access for Solasta II will be launching early in 2026, specifically on March 12th of 2026. And here I'm supposed to be tossing to a video about what I covered earlier in the year after I played the demo of the game. And really, that's a really great way to increase retention and make you stay and continue to watch my videos. But I'm gonna tell you to do something terrible for me as a YouTuber, and instead say leave this channel and go over to Steam if you play on PC and play the demo. Because if you play the demo, that's gonna give you the best idea of whether you like the game or not. Keep in mind that with the demo, it's gonna be like the roughest version of the game. But there's also this really cool thing that they have done, what Tactical Adventures has done, which I think most games don't do because it's a lot of extra work. It's not the story. It's not the story that you're gonna be playing. It's entirely different. And so I think that's a really cool thing. You're not gonna get any spoilers by going in to play this demo, this kind of completely separate thing when you go in and try the game out. It'll give you an idea of some of the combat, how some of the acting is in the game. It's a little rough in certain places, but it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty meaty demo. You'll get to see a good amount of gameplay, a good amount of cinematics, a good amount of decision making, and to kind of get an idea of what it's like to not just be controlling one character, but 4. Unfortunately, you don't get to actually create your characters. You will have 4 pre-made characters, but you'll still get an idea of what to do. My name is Redbeard Flynn. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.